begins. Clouds form. A snowstorm atop high peaks falls heavy, melts, flows through tributaries into rivers, and finds the sea and returns to the air.
Hey, this is Flo Orley, freeride pro from Innsbruck, Austria, and I'm super proud and stoked to be today with one of the greatest of all time. These guys on a crazy travel schedule. I heard they came from London, arrived at 3 a.m. in the morning, slept a couple of hours, have a full-on program. How is it to run this whole tour thing from event to event? Is this more stressful than riding spines in AK?
It's a different kind, I guess. It's a lot of work, but I think all in all, the film itself was probably a little bit more difficult. This is just more of like a quick grind. The film, we get to focus on one task at hand, which is, I guess, part of the beauty of having 3 to 4 years to work on, a central project.
Travis took this idea about the hydrological cycle and turned it into this epic journey.
I've never really seen anything that looked like that before.
As everything in his life, he'll just take an idea and explore the depths, let nothing stop his momentum.
He doesn't back down.
Let's bring it down to the moment when you're out there. You're in the chopper, you're approaching ridge in AK or on your home turf in Wyoming. Would you sometimes prefer to be just, so to say, just a rider like the others you bring a film who can focus only on what they do best? That means when the camera says 3, 2, 1, go, drop in and perform, whereas you always have in your mind, okay, now the light's perfect here, but in 20 minutes we got to be on the ridge on the other side, and in the afternoon we have to film this, and I want to make sure we have this camera here, and this there, and this here. So you obviously have a lot of things on your mind. Does this disturb your riding at times, or have you been gotten so used to it that it doesn't matter anymore?
It's a good point. It does disturb the riding, for sure, but I guess over the years, look, working on snowboarding films for 12 to 15 years-ish, at a certain point, it starts to become, us going out and filming snowboarding is not the same as us just going and snowboarding for ourselves for fun, right? And I think that the actual art of trying to capture a shot, like that's really what we're going out and trying to do. I mean, snowboarding obviously is the key focus of it, but it's all encompassing. It's trying to ride the feature a certain way, with a certain light, have the camera guys and everyone come together at that perfect moment. It's a team sport, really, filming, and so it having a big production does distract from just the purity of snowboarding, but it's the pursuit of trying to capture this moment on film. Like that is the art piece.
I think that's what you're good at, and your whole crew is good at, to bringing the passion into the films. And I only saw a couple of minutes of the new movie, and I saw Catamaran in there. And I'm a big sailor too, across the South Pacific on a sailboat with my now wife, and we're going to be on a boat again next year for 4 or 5 years. Going to stop my career and we go sailing. Tell me about the Catamaran. I saw this boat with the blue hulls. Is that yours? Yeah. Tell me about it. Where is it now? When did you buy it? How big is it?
Well, it's interesting. I feel like we're very much on the same path, and that's kind of what the film is about. Really, it's about this kind of certain way of living, the path of the hydrologist. Someone who has kind of catered their life around the 4 seasons and water in all its forms, from pursuing it up in the mountains to obviously, you are a fellow sailor as well. I think that's kind of been the pursuit in the last 10 years of trying to live my life seasonally and spend time living in the ocean and the mountains. And so, I think about 6 years ago, 10 years ago, I started working on this plan to get to the South Pacific. And then 6 years ago, I finally was able to buy this boat that was ocean ready, and then spent a couple years sailing the Caribbean in it to feel comfortable, actually going offshore and bringing loved ones that rely on me making good decisions with it.
I love sailing, just like I love snowboarding. I find there's such similarities there. The fact that you're out on your own terms, the mercy of your own decision making, it keeps you focused on what you're doing now.
It seems like in action sports films, there has been a development which we both experienced. A couple of years back, all the focus was on the action, ski, snowboard, porn, purely, so trying to get the most out of the action. Now there's a transition, and I think fourth phase is probably the perfect example right now where it's going to. People have seen what's possible. They want to know what's behind. They want to know people's stories. They want to know what's the passion driving people like you to do it. So I think that's where we're right now, and you're probably at the top of the game with this last film. But where do we go next? What's the next direction that action sports films can go to?
That's a good question, man, and I think that that definitely falls upon the creatives within our world. And I think, if anything, that's one thing that there's no shortage of is creative people. It seems to be, snowboarding promotes this kind of open platform creativity. This realm of, you don't really hear many people talk about what you can't do, and I think that that's a breeding ground for creativity. And for us, we just wanted to, we did the Art of Flight, and we didn't necessarily, I did not want to make the Art of Flight 2. I was really happy with the way that film turned out, but for another 3 or 4 years, didn't want to just do the same film over again. And so we wanted to explore with trying to make a more honest film, and it's kind of a tribute, or almost a love story, I guess, to the environments we get to operate in, and water, and the path of water. So where does it go from here? It's a great question, and I'm excited to find out. I for one, am definitely not getting into another film project right away. I don't have any plans to at the moment.
Are you still happy to compete if there's a supernatural? Are you still happy to compete in other events, or is it pretty much like the past of your career with all that creativity that you could put into the filming right now?
No, man, I miss competing. Like, competing's fun. It brings out this other level of all right, everyone's here, everyone wants to show their stuff, and yeah, as someone who has followed and pursued taking your snowboarding, to the highest level possible, competition is an amazing place to go out and push yourself and see other people push themselves. I hope to compete again.
That'd be amazing. Now, Steve World Tour has come to AK for the second consecutive time as well. Do you, after seeing all those amazing countries and mountains, especially Japan, I heard is a very special what you experienced there on the last filming trip, is Alaska still top of the game in terms of amounts of snow in a good year and stability of the snowpack and steepness, all that combination needs to ride the craziest lines on the planet? Or are there other areas which are actually just as good but not so well known about?
I mean, well, as no doubt it's so condition dependent. I mean, I'm sure that there's places, in the Alps with the good year, the right timing, and it's just there is so much that is out of maybe the realm of what you've done before or how you've ridden it before. So, I mean, that is the beauty of snowboarding, is it's you're only limited by your lack of creativity when it comes to how far you want to push it in the mountains. As far as Alaska, I mean, when Alaska's good, I don't think it gets any better, with just the scale, the scope, the fact that the snow covers all the rocks, and so you have these massive transitions everywhere, and but once again, different styles of riding all over the planet, and some people adapt to different styles. For me, I think Alaska will forever be the place where you'll have the best day of your life, even if it is really difficult. And sometimes you have to put a lot of time in to get it.
How's your approach to those super steep venues in Alaska changed over the years? Are you more respectful than when you first got there, or are you less respectful? Because I know for some people it's different. Some people say the more often they go there, the more afraid they are because they know what can happen. And others say they get so used to the special conditions they can actually charge way more after with a couple of years experience under their belly.
I think that it's you take 5 steps forward and you take a couple back, because for sure over time you get much more comfortable. I think of the first couple of years that I went up there, and just like standing on a ridge was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And then you start to get comfortable with it, and maybe you have some great days where everything works perfect, and you start to get a little confident, start to get a little cocky, and then you have a day where you witness some shit go down, some natural activity, and then you take those couple steps back where you're like, whoa, okay, hold on. And so I think that it's a continuation of getting really comfortable and then being very humbled. And so it's always an ebb and flow in Alaska.
Last thing I want to cover with you is a bit more your private life. Are you married, girlfriend, children, anything?
Yeah, I got a lady I've been with for almost 9 years. I mean, we're not married, but we basically are. And no children. Doesn't mean that I am anti-children. Just, man, life is long. I am young. I'm looking forward to new chapters. Last question.
Has your passion for snowboarding changed in a certain way from, let's say, the first time you rocked up at the competition in 2001 and jumped into the media spotlight to us sitting now here 15 years later, you owning a 48-foot carbon fiber catamaran, which you obviously own through snowboarding, and making a movie that attracts millions of people to the cinemas over the planet? Has that changed you a lot, or are you still the same Travis?
I mean, deep down, I'm still a very respectful shithead. I'm still the same person that I was a long time ago. But I really, I'm proud of the lessons that life has dealt me, all good and bad. I think I have a great group of friends who are always willing to call me on my bullshit, and so, I think. I'm just grateful to have all the opportunities that I have had, which, it's through hard work and perseverance and, positivity, manifestation. But I'm still really psyched on snowboarding. And I think that's, for me, one of the most beautiful things with snowboarding is that there's so many different ways you can skin the cat, so to speak. And so it's stayed interesting for me. I came into snowboarding kind of late, relatively. I mean, when I was like 19, I ended up going to a contest, or actually Super Park was more of an event, and then my career kind of just took off really fast. And I always was under the mindset of, I'm going to continue to do this as long as I'm having fun and I stay interested. And I mean, I'm coming out of a 4-year film project that was, it was the hardest project that me and any of our crew has ever done, hands down. And I'm so psyched to not have a big plan for this coming winter and to just go shred. I want to go do some bank slaloms. I want to go ride with some friends. I want to go rip some runs with my lady. So I'm still psyched on shredding.
Thanks, Travis. Sounds great. Sounds like there's enough passion left for the next 20 years of riding, and I'll be super stoked to share a couple of powder turns with you this winter, wherever, in Austria, AK, or wherever. Thanks.